As we're approaching summertime, there are of course rumors starting to fly around regarding the upcoming PES game. It's just that this year, instead of getting ready for E3 and the Euro Championship in June, we're only preparing for the footballing season's ending? Yeah, 2020 has been a crazy ride, no need for me to mention that, but we're already close to halfway through it. So with all the current year events causing delays to the football calendar, there are now certainly at least some doubts regarding the next iteration in the Pro Evo series. So then, when can we expect it? Funny, I'm starting a video titled "What can you expect" in such a way, but on a serious note, I'm a bit concerned about the development of the new game. Well, I'll come back to this later on in the video. For now, let's assume that they were able to work on it somewhat normally, and so let's go through what I think we can expect to see in PES 2021. This is usually the time I would have made a wishlist video for the upcoming PES. As you noticed, I stopped doing that 3 years ago. Why? Simply because I didn't feel the need to. I was quite happy with how the game is progressing. Is this a wishlist video then? No, not really. They're kind of pointless to make if they don't reach the devs, and I always release them a bit late. Usually the game is so far into development this time of year. As such, in this video we'll talk a bit about some rumors, but I'll try to keep it more realistic and try to just look at what changes could be made in such a short time, and especially a crazy time indeed. Okay, so let's start off strong. This has been heavily speculated last year, and since it's turned out to be untrue, it has now almost completely vanished, but I'm bringing it back a bit because it would now actually make sense. I'm talking about the engine change. PES has been powered by the Fox engine for 7 years now, and while looking absolutely great, it has posed some gameplay clumsiness. If this is down to the game's engine or actually the developers themselves, it's hard for us to tell. I can't recall exactly, it might have been before PES 2018's release, but I remember reading an interview where they, and by that I mean the PR people, not the devs, have said that they have now grown more accustomed to the engine and it's easier to work with, which should tremendously improve the game. And I will give them the benefit of the doubt with this. It's certainly no easy task to make a football game in an engine that's been specifically built for open world action games. PES 2014 is a testament to that. We can also see that on EA's side, as they've pushed the Frostbite engine upon every developer, but with FIFA it's more on a visual level. The base has been kept from the old Impact engine, hence animations were all that much changed, whilst on PES everything has been changed from the core. So moving to a new engine is no easy task at all, and with this in mind, can we expect them to release PES 2021 on Unreal? Because that's what was rumored last year. PES 2020 will be built on Unreal Engine 4. It was everywhere, at least on the usual rumor aggregators. As PES 2019 was released very early, August 2018, I thought that would hint to them taking more time to move everything on a new engine for the next one. It didn't happen, and now I have serious doubts it will happen anytime soon. First of all, as I said, they're now more comfortable working in the Fox engine, and it did show. The game has indeed progressed nicely over the last 2 or 3 years. Secondly, Unreal Engine 5 was revealed a few weeks ago. It will be officially released only next year, and of course, that does not guarantee instant adoption, for the very reasons I just mentioned. So, if indeed an engine switch will happen, I don't think we should expect it anytime sooner than at least 2 years from now. Lastly, I really don't think there is a need for an engine change actually. There's still so much unfulfilled potential in the current one, and it benefits is the excellent optimization it features. The game looks great and plays great even on lower end hardware. I'm sure no one wants to throw away all the work put into it until now. Moving everything to a new engine is a serious challenge, it takes a lot of testing to ensure everything works as it should, and I'm sure this will be their primary focus should any change occur in the future, as to avoid all the problems PES 2014 faced. Well then, let's now move to the things that need work, and I'll focus a lot on the gameplay of course, because with my past wishlist videos I mostly pointed out visual and presentation aspects that I'd like improved. Some of those are still somewhat relevant today, but I'll touch on them in the modding segment of this video. Regarding licenses and stadiums, I'm really not sure if we're going to get anything new. I mean, obviously, by now you should have accepted that PES will never get the top leagues, such as the Premier League, Bundesliga and La Liga. It would obviously be nice to get more licensed stadiums, but how great modding currently is, I'd like to see Konami bring some new generic stadiums for our custom leagues, and of course, the teams missing their own stadiums. Add a bit more variety, you know? Konami Stadium does tend to get quite boring after a while. Now, where do I start? I'll start with the positives actually. I really like the pace of the game. I'm not sure if any football video game has been able to get this close to the real thing until now. You can actually play your own style of football and control the match, for the most part. Because it's all fine and dandy until your passes get blocked by your own teammates or you start to tumble over one another because for some reason they quite often have no idea where to go and just stop dead in their tracks. I myself have plenty of examples of this and I'll try to show you some on screen while I'm narrating, but I do recommend you give TTB's excellent video a watch, link in the description. In this video, he's presenting the obvious scripting happening on the legendary difficulty, but I will argue, and I think I can do this after so many hours in the game, that it definitely happens on lower difficulties, down to regular from what I've seen. Anything below that, well, you're basically asking the game to hold your hand and help you win by the plentiful. It's okay to play on those if you're new to the game, but once you up the difficulty you expect a challenge. And boy do you get it. Only it's incredibly unfair, and instead of making the AI play smarter and harder against you, well, it seems it's easier to just make them superhuman, able to run right through you, take much stronger shots than you ever could even with a full power bar, pinpoint passing, running speed that would make even Roadrunner jealous, and on top of that, very biased refereeing. It's clearly much easier for them to give the AI a needed boost, commonly referred to as momentum within the community, than it is for them to develop a solid, consistent, actually smart, team play focused AI. But wait a minute, did we not have that before? What happens? Seriously, every year, at least since we, PC gamers, got demos again, I have been wondering this. Is this all just false advertising? To make a demo that's so much simulation focused to please your core fanbase to then just do a 180 and let them feel backstabbed? I seriously have seen this cycle repeated every year. Demo is great, we pick out all these details and obsessively overanalyze them, then the full game launches, it's a bit different but still alright, and once the data packs start rolling, what happens? Is it deliberate? Then why? I have more questions than answers to offer, so I'll stop here without confusing you any further. However, it has been proven that the game does have a tendency to progressively worsen over time. And is that something new in this space? No, of course not. Look at any popular shooter whenever an update is released. There are always changes that will either buff or nerf something in the game. Such things, of course, can be constantly calibrated based on users' feedback, but my point is, if you already have reached balance and the feedback is overwhelmingly positive, why start the butchering after release? It is one of this series' big mysteries, but let's now leave that behind and point out the exact issues. And where do I even begin? Let's start with the player's awareness. Why, oh why, does it have to be so broken some if not most of the time? And this affects multiple scenarios, player switching, defending, passing, etc. It has been severe in 2019, it seemed fixed with 2020, only to become a problem again halfway through the game's lifespan. It's incredibly frustrating when you're trying to defend and the ball is loose. Combine the broken player switching with the broken player awareness and you have the perfect recipe for disaster. Seriously, how many times have you seen me during the streams, or if you're not a subscriber, how many times have you encountered this? The ball is getting close to an AI uncontrolled teammate. He's looking around completely dazed, you're spamming the left bumper, desperately trying to switch to him to make him run and at least try to block the impending shot. By the time you barely get him under control, the opposing team has already got the ball in the back of the net. And keep in mind, I'm a solely single player gamer in this one, but I can perfectly understand and feel for the multiplayer gamers. It's maddening, it really is. Gameplay mods, which have been a must for at least the past 3 years, fix most of the stuff that's broken with updates. Passing, shots, variety, but it seems the stuff that's tied to game logic, physics, animations, cannot really be fixed. At least the previously mentioned gameplay mods do help a lot in improving the overall experience, but man, mentioning the demos again, it's clear that they can create something absolutely beautiful. Why does it go downhill after launch? It's actually nice to see kind of a PES 2014 renaissance. I feel vindicated in a way. I always have been backing that game. I know the controls were clunky and the game modes were a bit stripped down, with Master League just being shockingly poor compared to the previous title, but the gameplay was a huge step up. Just look at this footage. It's the game running on my old crappy computer, so that's why it's laggy, but just look at the animations, how everything is flowing, how the passes are being played out, the defending AI positioning, just so many great things to pick out from even a few seconds of video. I especially loved, and to this day I consider it to be the best mechanic we've seen in PES so far, the ability to control the player's body center, whether on or off the ball. It was incredible. It helped with dribbling, and defending was just something else. You really could put pressure on your opponents by using heavier players. However, as I said, the controls, or rather input lag, and the many performance issues, especially with consoles, have garnered bad ratings from gamers, while the critics were scoring the game quite highly actually. This has made Konami panic a bit and changed the strategy for PES 2015. First of all, they took more time to work on the game, having it released much later than usual in November. Once the game came out though, it was apparent it suffered some serious downgrades, and that's across all the platforms, with the PlayStation version being the favored one in terms of overall features. Look at the footage, can't you immediately spot the difference? It ended up being the turning point for the series. It should have been 2014, but they quite quickly backed out of that. The graphics were toned down and the gameplay became more arcadey in an attempt to keep or attract back the more FIFA-loyal audience, I would say. It was fun, although one trademark exploit of this game was the OP lofty through ball. It seems like every iteration from this one on had such a representative exploit. Sometimes it was a defense, sometimes it was the goalkeeper, sometimes the exact angle you could shoot from, and so on. Anyway, PES 2015 certainly has been established as the base from which the following titles will be developed, and today it seems you have reached quite a good balance between simulation and arcade. However, I will argue that the easiest way to please both crowds, or actually just all the players, because even someone that would prefer a more simulation-based, realistic approach in single player would be just fine with a more arcadey gameplay in online multiplayer. Your sole focus there is to score goals and beat your opponents anyway. It's to implement gameplay sliders. Yes, just like in FIFA, gameplay sliders would allow every single user to customize gameplay to their very own preferences. Instead of requesting an update that will speed up the game and upset a part of the user base and vice versa, everyone would get the chance to make the gameplay exactly the way they want. In fact, this has been the only way to make FIFA tolerable for me. The first thing I do whenever I launch a new FIFA for the first time is to customize these settings, because the base gameplay just kinda disgusts me. So what do you know, I actually prefer to modify the gameplay of both currently available football simulators. It's just that one offers a better way to deal with this than the other. So this would be one of the first things I'd expect from PES 2021, along with a further slowed down base gameplay. I think simply adding this and fixing the player awareness and switching would tremendously improve the experience. They just have to make impactful changes to the game, especially if they'll continue using the Fox engine, otherwise how could they justify a yearly release? Now, time to talk a bit about Master League. I hope they gathered encouraging feedback and just enough of it for them to allocate more workforce to this game mode. The changes that they brought in 2020 are very nice, and I'm talking about the transfers, the added cutscenes, but they're not quite enough just yet. I'm on my way to reaching 100 episodes, or live streams if you will, and this is something I never thought would be possible, but this Master League is the best one so far on this engine. It could have been even better were it not for the gameplay hiccups we just discussed. And well, regens, they kinda break the realism, but they sure are nice to get, as they're already highly rated from a young age and their potential is huge. I would like, however, a different approach to the youth system, one where we get realistic, randomly generated players, and if FIFA is once again something to learn from, then try to avoid any ridiculous names and stats. Well, the stats are mostly okay already, but their names are arguable. The menus. Let's not forget the menus. I'm close to 800 hours in the game and I'm still getting lost sometimes or having no idea where what I'm looking for is. That has to be improved, not only by giving it a modern, cleaner look, but it has to be much more practical. There are so many things that are now separate, which could easily be integrated in sub-menus. I remember them briefly mentioning this last year. They said they would completely revamp the UI in PES 2021, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Let's move to modding now, one of the game's strong suits, or rather its saving grace. The reason a lot of console gamers get it for PC, the modding possibilities are almost endless on this platform, adding anything from entire leagues to scoreboards, kits, realistic fonts, faces, boots, balls, stadiums, and more. There still are some limitations though, but all things considered, there's a big, very talented modding community working on this game and pretty much fixing Konami's wrongdoings every year. I would like them to show more support to these guys. It would be great to have more flexible editing tools within the game, for instance a more detailed kit editor slash kit importer, the ability to edit more game assets, and I think some kind of native support for easier 3D model importing would be fantastic, especially for Stadia. There are some great ideas and suggestions floating around on Twitter especially, however I want to point something out regarding this. There might be dark times ahead of us. We've already seen many examples of how game modding has suffered, whether because of copyright owners or laws, or even because of the publishers themselves. The most recent example that once again has made me think about the future of PES modding and just how much this game depends on it is Manchester United suing the makers of Football Manager, Sports Interactive and Sega for copyright infringement. The funny thing is that, just like with Konami, Sports Interactive allow modding and basically grant users the right to do as they please with the unlicensed teams and competitions. But United said, yeah, well, we don't care, our name can still appear in your game and we don't want that. Basically asking the devs to restrict users' rights to mod the game. I obviously think that's ridiculous, but United is a huge club with a huge following and thus huge earnings, but not from this game, and that's a problem. However, that makes no sense because it's not like the game is being advertised as featuring Man United and people are buying it because of this. It's not like you granted them the rights to your image and name and you get nothing out of it. It just makes no sense. So I hope this case will be won by SI and Sega and modding will be left alone. I have to once again give credit to Konami for adding the edit mode to the demo last year, as it really helped modders to have option files ready for release day, and this is why I hope they'll continue to show their support by adding more such tools to aid them. And again, this is perfectly legal. When will copyright holders realize this? The companies making these games pay for certain rights and advertise accordingly. By the way, some rights they cannot have access to because you accept higher sums of money for exclusivity, and people still buy PES even without the Premier League or Bundesliga, firstly because of the gameplay, and secondly because they know everything will be patched day one, and nobody should care if a third, non-affiliated to the devs or publishers, party adds the likenesses, especially since they earn nothing for this. So yeah, I think that's kind of it. I know it might not sound like much, but that's what I'm expecting from PES 2021, and once we see these things in the game, I'm sure we'd offer it nothing but praise. A robust, improved gameplay across multiple areas with player awareness, placement, and even more contextual animations as focus, and hopefully no more butchering with updates, an expansion of editing tools, and a better online experience as well. I'm sorry I can't really say anything about online because I haven't spent a single minute in those game modes. I've played My Club a bit before, but it never caught my full attention. I'm still very much single player focused. Having said that though, I know you guys suffer just as much, if not even more than us, solely single player gamers, so at least we can both relate to something. Now, going back a bit to licenses, I don't know if we can expect anything new. There have been rumors about Real Madrid becoming a partner club, and I guess that's a possibility. Their second contract with EA was to expire this year, and well, it would certainly be very interesting for them to have the two Spanish giant rivals exclusively, but who knows, contracts have also been subject to uncertainty this year, so we'll see. I will say though that I'd be pleasantly surprised if they announce a couple of new leagues. They could be the first game to license an African league, for instance. They could add a North American league, obviously unlicensed, or they could get more European ones. Like in Central Europe, there's Poland and the Czech Republic, or moving a bit further to the east, Hungary, Ukraine, Serbia, Greece. There are lots of great choices to pick from. Bottom line, they have to acknowledge that they're now in a position where they can be a serious contender, and they just have to fulfill the potential we saw teased many times until now. But we also have to be prepared to not get a new game this year. I would be shocked if they'll only offer a seasonal update. Would that work? Well, they have added leagues in the game after launch already, and all the kits and squad updates would only mean a larger data pack to download, so I guess we have to be prepared for anything. We should get an announcement this month, as is tradition, and if they release a standalone game, then we can expect it to launch around the usual time, early September, a couple of weeks before FIFA. Anyways, as always, I'm looking forward to reading and answering your comments down below, so feel free to post what you're expecting from PES 2021, and yeah, I guess that's it for this one. We'll have to wait a little longer to get our answers, but yeah, they have to come up with something quite interesting, since I'm pretty sure they'll use the Fox engine still. As I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as they squash the small bugs we've been putting up with. But yeah, that will do it for now. Time to play the waiting game for a little while longer. I thank you very much for watching this video. Hope to see you in the next one. Until then, take care.